You ever notice this? You walk through the front door after a long day and you're physically home, but mentally you're gone. Your wife asks you a question, your kids want your attention, and something just checks out. This isn't a character flaw. Researchers across psychology and neuroscience say that this is a predictable stress response. Across multiple fields, researchers have been mapping this pattern for decades. Stress researcher Robert Sapolsky has shown that when pressure stays high for too long, the body shifts into conservation mode. Nervous system researcher Stephen Porges describes this as a move into the shutdown state when fight or flight becomes unsustainable. And relationship researcher John Gottman found that inside marriages, the stress response often shows up as emotional withdrawal, not conflict. Different disciplines, same conclusion. If you're a husband or father carrying responsibility, this video will help you understand what's happening before the withdrawal costs you connection at home. Most men think the issue is emotional weakness. They'll say, I just don't feel like talking. I don't have anything left. I need space. But Sapolsky's research on chronic stress shows that elevated cortisol over time reduces both emotional range and cognitive flexibility. The brain isn't opening, it's conserving. Gottman observed the same thing relationally. In his studies, once stress crossed a physiological threshold, many men stopped engaging altogether. He called this stonewalling, not as a moral failing, but as a stress response. So when your wife experiences distance and you feel flat or numb, that's not indifference, that's overload. Overload isn't just being busy. Sapolsky defines the real danger as stress without recovery. Think about the modern responsible man. Constant decision-making, financial pressures, being the emotional rock, and very little decompression. That keeps the nervous system in a prolonged state of activation. Porges' work helps to explain what happens next. When the system can't maintain fight or flight anymore, it doesn't move towards connection, it moves towards shutdown. Quiet, withdrawal, low emotional expression. Not because you don't care, but because your system is out of margin. Here's something all three bodies of research agree on. Shutdown tends to happen where the body feels safest. Work demands alertness, structure, and performance. Home signals safety, which finally allows the nervous system to drop its guard. Gottman saw this repeatedly in couples research. Men often hold it together all day, then disengage at home. Not because home is the problem, but because it's where stress finally lands. This is where Gottman's work is especially important. He found that when one partner consistently withdraws, the other partner eventually stops making what he calls emotional bids, or in other words, small attempts to connect. Not out of anger, out of adaptation. So the cost of shutdown isn't always arguments. It's fewer conversations, less warmth, more emotional distance. Families don't just break from explosions, they drift when presence disappears. Now this is where popular advice often misses the point. The advice is usually open up more, but sleep and stress research, especially from Matthew Walker, show that regulation has to come first. Walker's work demonstrates that poor sleep and fatigue impair both emotional regulation and engagement. Gottman reaches the same conclusion from a relational angle. When someone is emotionally flooded, he recommends physical calming first, time to let the nervous system settle, then re-engage. You don't talk your way out of a shutdown, you regulate your way out of it, then reconnect. That's not therapy language, that's biology applied to leadership. Here's the grounded reframe that's supported by all four researchers. Shutdown isn't weakness, it's feedback. Sapolsky shows it's the body conserving energy. Porges shows it's a nervous system state shift. Gottman shows how it affects relationships. Walker shows why recovery restores access to emotion. Strong men don't ignore feedback, they adjust. The goal isn't emotional performance. The goal is staying present and available under pressure. That's real self-mastery. If this hits close to home, it's not because you're broken, it's because you're overloaded, and the research predicts exactly this response. This channel exists to help good men understand what's happening beneath the surface so they can lead well at home, not just perform well at work. If that matters to you, subscribe. Share this with a man who's gone quiet lately. And start listening to what your own shutdown is telling you. Presence isn't accidental, it's trained.